Hello, Reporter Room investigators. So happy to be with you today. We're going to be talking about the hearing for Bryan Kohberger this week. It was a dumpster fire. Oh my gosh. Let's get started.
Multi-knowledge. This is a method that involves, quote, the detection of knowledge about a crime as a means for inferring deception. Bryan Kohberger also put his trash in neighbors' trash cans. No alibi. Still no alibi.
Can the prosecution show links from Bryan to Maddie?
He was in fact fired.
This is Reporter Room with Jessica Della Davies.
Hello. Okay, so we have a lot of stuff to dig into on the hearing for Bryan Kohberger. Come on in, you guys. Come on in. Come on in. It's great to see you. We have Energy Shots, a new channel member. Great to have you. Welcome. All right, so I'm going a little bit earlier than I was planning to go. I was going to go right at 6, but I'm going to be doing a members only live stream after this. So I do want to just say hello to chat. So we had a very interesting hearing. Let me catch you guys up on this. So we had Ann Taylor warning of possible threats to people's lives in the Idaho case. She filed a motion with the state requesting that the court issue an order requiring discovery requests and responses submitted by the defense and state under seal for the pendency of the case. So the motion stated that the documents contained facts or statements that might threaten or endanger the life or safety of individuals. Additionally, the motion, again, this was an Ann Taylor defense team motion, additionally warns that the full release of discovery would constitute unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. So this is according to Newsweek. Michael McAuliffe, he's a former federal prosecutor and elected state attorney in Florida, told Newsweek that the motion filed by BK's attorneys to seal discovery exhibits and attachments for the pendency of the case was a stipulated motion. So let's talk about this. Let me grab this for you. This is courtesy of Law and Crime. Let me move myself smaller so you guys can see it.
On video driving in the neighborhood where the killings occurred.
Let me just turn it up a little bit so you guys can hear it.
Have you read, seen, or heard if Bryan Kohberger owned the same type of car recorded on video driving in the neighborhood where the killings occurred? Have you seen, read, seen, or heard if the cell phone tower data showed that Bryan Kohberger made several trips near the victim's home in the month before the killing? Have you read, seen, or heard if the university students in Moscow and their parents lived in fear until Bryan Kohberger was arrested for the murders? Have you read, seen, or heard if Bryan Kohberger said that he was out driving alone on the night of the murders?
So for those of you that don't know what Bill Thompson, he's the prosecutor. That's the voice that you're hearing. For those of you that don't know what happened, there's been a lot of fireworks between the defense team and the prosecution. The prosecution feels like the defense team overstepped on the juror survey. The defense team feels like they did not overstep. Judge John Judge has paused the survey pending a hearing, which we watched together on my channel. But then this week there was another hearing.
Have you read, seen, or heard if Bryan Kohberger stalked one of the victims? Have you read, seen, or heard if Bryan Kohberger had followed one of the victims on social media? Your Honor, there is absolutely no question but that those questions are disseminating by means of communication, evidence expected to be presented, evidence that could be or would be inadmissible at trial. And I will say there are a number of these representations placed in the form of a question, but representations of fact that are not true or that would not be offered at trial.
Now, so much of this information.
So Bill Thompson saying it's not true, or it might not be offered at trial, or it's disseminating information. I do think it's very, very interesting. Ann Taylor is pushing back on that. Let me just make sure you guys can see this. Okay. So I just want to make sure after that we can all see it. Okay. So let's talk about it together. We have a lot of stuff to dig into. So, the prosecutors characterized the survey as being half-baked results. They do not want the survey in its current form to be allowed to come into public record because it was in a half-baked fashion. This is according to Bill Thompson. He is going to be the lead prosecutor. He said this in the hearing on Wednesday. So the controversial poll of potential jurors was commissioned by Ann Taylor and Bryan Kohberger's defense team. It was to assess the attitudes of potential jurors in Latah County, where 4 students were done away with. I'm watching my words. So 400 people were asked about evidence in the case, and the defense had planned to ask several hundred more. So they weren't done. Now remember, Latah County has 40,000 people for a total jury pool. So Bill Thompson, the prosecutor, apparently there were phone calls that were put out both to the police department and to the district attorney's office of people reporting this survey. So Bill Thompson said that the poll of potential jurors had not been completed, and he did not want partial results being entered in the public record. And he said that he wanted the word of the survey to be changed before it was allowed to continue. He said, however, the defense told him by 2 emails previously that the wording could not be changed. So could not or would not is the pushback that the prosecution had. That Bill Thompson said, I would have been happy to discuss some middle ground, but the line has been drawn in black and white. And he also went on to add that presenting partial results in court would be premature. The defense team, I want to just go into their stance on this. So the defense team was really hoping that this phone survey of potential jurors would prove that local people were prejudiced against BK and that the trial should be moved to another county. Bill Thompson, now the defense team, to be clear, they want this moved to another county that maybe is a little bit more liberal and doesn't believe in capital punishment. That's what a lot of the commentators are saying on this. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. But I think they, maybe moving it to a bigger area could also be, something that needs to be done. Let me know what you think about this. So they're really concerned that the local Latah County, because the crimes were committed there, that the local people would be prejudiced and he would not be able to get a fair trial. Now, Bill Thompson was speaking before Judge John Judge, and we all heard evidence from Dr. Brian Edelman. Now, Dr. Edelman was the co-founder of a jury consultant business, Trial Innovations, and he's the person who oversaw the polling of the 400 potential jurors. That's caused a lot of drama. So the defense had been planning to poll more potential jurors, and Thompson said that Edelman could present a slide of his methodology, but he did not want him to release the results of the survey because the survey had not been completed. He said the rest of it is fine. So BK's defense team, they hired Edelman's company to assess if the people in Latah County had a negative opinion of Bryan Kohberger. And during a very heated exchange, it was a dumpster fire of a hearing, Dr. Edelman agreed that one of the questions asked if the potential jurors had read, seen, or heard that Bryan Kohberger had stalked one of the victims. Edelson said he wasn't interested in whether it was true or not, merely that it was being spread by the media and therefore contaminating potential jurors. And I can tell you who exactly the source on that was. It was the New York Post. So if this is not true, then I want to retract the New York Post comment from my channel. So Dr. Edelman said that it would be ridiculous to ask potential jurors about their knowledge of stalking reports in the media and then tell them the reports weren't true. Thompson was seeking to establish that the defense had been spreading false information about the case. Bill Thompson also said that Edelman appeared emotionally upset by the questions on Wednesday and appeared to be almost breaking down. He said he was surprised that someone of Edelman's expertise had reacted to the questions that way. Edelman retorted, "I'm not crying, I'm angry." He said that he had been accused of saturating potential jurors with prejudicial information when in reality he was trying to assess what effect media coverage had on potential jurors. So during a very intense examination, Ann Taylor objected at one point and accused Bill Thompson of badgering Edelman. Now there's no jury present. The only one there is Judge John Judge. So I'm not really sure, what the big deal was, but I guess it was bothering her. Edelman was getting upset. Judge and Judge agreed that people should speak one at a time and told Bill Thompson to lower the tone a little bit. So it was very much a heated hearing. So at the hearing on April 4th, Bill Thompson told Judge John Judge that the polling company hired by BK's defense team had asked 9 reckless, he characterized them as reckless and outrageous questions to 400 potential juries in Latah County. So a concerned member of the public actually recorded the phone call and then contacted the local district attorney's office and filed a complaint. This is according to Bill Thompson, the prosecutor in the hearing. In asking the questions, they have planted negative opinions of Kohberger in potential jurors' mind, according to prosecutors. So prosecutors actually felt like Ann Taylor's defense expert was actually planting negative opinions of BK, not just assessing if they had negative opinions in potential jurors' mind. I do think, this is my opinion, let me know what you think if you have, I do think that it would have been prudent for Ann Taylor to have taken the questions and let the judge know ahead of time that she was conducting a poll, given him the questions prior to doing all this. But I guess, the mentality is it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. Let me know what you think about this. So in asking the questions, this is according to the prosecution, they have planted negative opinions of Bryan Kohberger in potential jurors' minds. A transcript of the recorded phone calls reveals that the pollsters asked 9 questions about the case to potential jurors. Now, the judge still has not set a trial date. He did not decide if he was going to have a change of venue. He just kind of left it there. Let me check in with chat, and we're going to dig into this a little bit more. Hey, and Jazz. So come on in, guys. We have a lot of stuff to dig into. Glad to see you, the Bottom Line Radio Network. Thank you so much to all of our subscribers, our channel members, and our mods. Hey, Pam. Hey, Mike. Hey, Tara. That's my alarm letting me know that I need to remind you guys that we're going to be doing a channel members only live stream today after this. Hey, Bob. All right. Ophi CL says, I don't know the trash thing is far reaching. A neighbor called in podcast how they have trash recycling. Fine if you don't separate your trash and the neighbors help each other separate trash. Oh, okay. Hey, Cynthia. All right, Tara, come on in. Tell me where you're from and drop your questions, guys. Tara says, I don't know if you've seen my post, but you really impressed my sister, who is a law professor. Thank you so much. That's really kind of you. So NJazz is here. This is Sixth Sense Amelia. She is our head mod. And I don't know. Everybody's welcome. Opinions are welcome. Just share them respectfully. Amelia's saying it perfectly. All civilly and respectfully expressed theories and opinions are welcome. Bob says, I would like to ignore them before I get into trouble. Ophi Cial says, not going to I feel like he's innocent and only involved was cleaning the mess up with his OCD. Okay. Michelle says, I was 85 to 95%. BK was guilty. Now I'm starting to seriously consider that he is innocent. Welcome, Sirius Black. Pam says, this is so weird. It is a little bit weird, but I think it's normal to have jostling before. And I do think, although I agree that a survey needs to be done and they do need to determine if they can seat a jury, the county does only have 40,000 residents in it. So they do need to decide, can they seat a jury in such a small area? I do think it would have been prudent of Ann Taylor to just go ahead and ask permission, right? Just ask permission before she did it. And give the judge a chance to say yes to the questions or say no to the questions. And she didn't. She chose not to do that. So I don't know. I think it could have been handled a little bit better. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you think. Tara says, okay, before we get going, good. We're all going to be nice. Okay. Yeah. Please be nice to each other in the chat. Thank you so much, Kami. Gifted a reporter room membership. Somebody is going to get a free membership. And Jess says, different opinions are welcome. Just be nice and respectful. Please give this a thumbs up. Help me out with the YouTube algorithm. All right. Kami says, I haven't been able. Let me see if I can find some comments. A lag buffer? I don't know. I hope not. Bob says, all I wanted to do is, oh, okay. Well, let's not get into any altercations. Just don't. If you have somebody that doesn't have the same opinion of you, and all opinions are welcome, just don't engage with that person. You don't have to, engage with them. You can just, engage with other people in the chat, or just post your own thoughts on it. No lag. Okay, I didn't think so. Yeah, it's probably your Wi-Fi. Michelle says, I think it really should be moved elsewhere if he's convicted in Moscow. I think the defense will appeal and claim he didn't get a fair trial. I think that's a fair point. And I also think that the defense is going to claim that no matter what. They're going to appeal no matter what. They've already told us that. But I think, they're going to, I do think a survey has to be done. So, but I think I think the fact that somebody recorded it and that it was done without telling the judge ahead of time that they were going to be doing it. And then I think that's what's caused a lot of drama and fireworks, in my opinion. And people were just really, really stressed out, really upset on the prosecution side of it, because they had gotten calls, and the district attorney's getting calls about this. So John Judge put a hold on the polling for the hearing that we all watched together. And then the hearing that went up this past week, I was on the Chad Daybell trial that day, but during that hearing, things got even more crazy. So let me show you a little bit of that.
Of these representations placed in the form of a question, but representations of fact that are not true or that would not be offered at trial.
Now, so much of this information is already out in the public, but prosecutor Bill Thompson argues that doesn't matter. He said putting it out there again violated the court's non-dissemination order. And
so my source on this is, I just want to say who my source is. Let me check. It is Law and Crime Network. Sorry, I just couldn't think of the name of their channel. It's a really good channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I'm going to skip over the commentary because I just want to play like a couple little snippets of the trial, and then the hearing, and then we're going to talk
how much coverage this case.
So Ann Taylor, she was pushing back on this. She just wasn't having it.
Here's defense attorney Ann Taylor.
This court and counsel knows how much coverage this case has received, and he does what he does by looking only at what's in the public. We didn't provide him any police reports. We didn't.
I'm sorry. It's just that does miss the point. I mean, it's kind of ironic that we have worked so hard, including you, okay, both sides, to protect a fair trial, okay? And our concern from the very beginning was all the media stuff floating around, okay, that affects your client, Mr. Kohberger, to get a fair trial.
And that's why I wanted to show you that Newsweek article where it's actually Ann Taylor. There's the one that asked for the gag order. I've had a lot of people in the comments say that the prosecution was hiding stuff. It was actually Ann Taylor and the defense team that initially wanted the gag order. So this is where I feel like the judge is just a little bit frustrated because she's the one that wanted the gag order. She put in for it. Then she said she just wanted to cherry pick out what was shared with the public. And the prosecution's like, well, release everything or don't release stuff. But the judge, is a little bit frustrated here because she's the one, and that's why I wanted to show you that Newsweek article with you guys at the top of this broadcast today. She's the one that asked for the gag order, and the reason for the gag order is to protect BK's right to a fair trial. So is Ann Taylor doing everything she can to give a good defense for Bryan Kohberger? Because she also admitted, in not the last hearing, but the one before that I aired, she admitted that it was him in the car. So is she helping his case or hurting his case? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Is she doing a good enough job on behalf of Bryan Kohberger?
And some of these questions actually create a concern about, that they're inculpatory. It could be prejudice for his client. Okay.
So what the judge is saying is that this prejudices jury members against Bryan Kohberger.
And that I'm just surprised that both of you didn't come together and say, there are certain things that we probably shouldn't put into the public on a telephone call. It really concerns me. And that's why I did what I did that Friday.
So Ann Taylor says she didn't actually approve the questions, but she.
So Ann Taylor wants everybody to know she didn't approve the questions. I think she chose not to look at the questions. That's just my opinion. I think she decided she would, that way she could just say, I didn't know about the questions. I didn't approve the questions. I don't know what the questions are, but I want to focus in on what was actually said at the hearing.
They're halting the survey until they could have a hearing.
Now I'm being accused of violating a due process, which is a whole big issue for me.
Oh, and this was really, really made the judge upset. She went out and publicly accused Judge John Judge of violating Bryan Kohberger's due process. That's a really serious accusation to make against the judge. And is she alienating Judge John Judge? And is this going to hurt Bryan Kohberger?
I can understand that would not be taken. I have to represent my client to the best of my ability. And the reason for that, Your Honor, with all due respect, I was shocked to see the court issue an order within hours of the state filing a motion late on a Friday without giving us a chance to be heard.
My order didn't say it was permanent.
Maybe
and it told you that I was going to have a hearing.
And you can see on his face, this is a mad face. This is a not happy face because he didn't tell her that he wasn't going to, that was the end of it. He just said we were going to do a hearing because she didn't run the questions by him to begin with.
I phrased that very poorly.
She sort of backs down here.
It's a decision that you already made.
Okay, let's go back. I got the motion at 4:30 on Friday. Now it doesn't even reflect, just when it was filed, because Odyssey has a delay, right? So I get the motion at 4:30 Friday. I get a response from you at 4:45 Friday, right?
I don't know what time you received it, but I filed an objection the minute I could.
Because then that about 5 o'clock, that's what I issued that. So I had a half an hour. I read the materials that were attached to the motion.
And you could see the judge trying to calm himself down here. He's got his arms kind of wrapped around himself a little bit, where he, I do think it's one thing if you're, unhappy with something, but it's something else to go out and publicly accuse in the media that the judge is violating your client's due process?
That the state filed, and I had very little information. But it seemed like there were some real legitimate concerns about the survey.
So he did feel like there was legitimate concerns about the survey. Let me check in with chat, and we're going to continue on. Let me go ahead and scroll down a little bit, see where we're at. So tell me what you guys are thinking about this. Do you think that she was just thought that it would be nicer to ask for, permission? Was she acting in good faith? Is she doing a good enough job to defend Bryan Kohberger? Or is the fact that she admitted that it was his car? For those of you that didn't see that, let me grab that really quick, see if I can pull that up for you. She literally admitted that it was his car. And I just feel like that was such a big oops, such a big mistake. Let me just see if I can pull, if I see it handy, I'll grab it. If I don't, then I won't. And the other thing is, a lot of the stuff that I've shown you guys with the blue snarfing and the TikTok GPS, couldn't that also
prosecutors don't have to show a motive to get a conviction.
Couldn't that also exonerate BK, right? Couldn't that be an alibi for him? Shouldn't she be going through all of these apps and just seeing, is there anything
to show a motive to get a conviction for first-degree murder? Juries want to know the motive, especially when they see this clean-cut guy with no criminal background. They want to know why he did it. Now, I think it's coming into focus why he did it. He seemed to be a devotee of serial killers and crime. I mean, he studied under the BTK's autobiographer. I mean, he was so interested in true crime that it looks like he wanted to be the center of his own story.
All right, so let's go to that hearing. I just want to show you where she does put him in the car. We'll go to the wait for it. Okay.
It's appropriate to tie the alibi to the jury trial date in this case. The statute that sets forth that 10-day timeline is completely separate from Rule 16 and other discovery deadlines through the litigation process. I think at this point, there has been so much time that has passed, and it has frankly causes the state great alarm that the defense is discussing calling upwards of 400 witnesses during the innocence phase when we don't have, potentially don't have a full alibi disclosure. And when you look at cases regarding appeals from issues that arise during alibis that come up at trial, these cases are all defendants appealing a conviction because the state doesn't get a second chance. If the state gets ambushed at trial, that's it for us. We're asking the court to hold the defendant to a fair alibi deadline, and I think that the time has come. Thank you.
So that's the other thing we still don't have. Ann Taylor said she had an alibi for Bryan Kohberger. She said she was who's in the car driving around. That's really not really an alibi, but I think she had to put him in the car. But Ann Taylor is going to push back on what the prosecution just said. Listen to this. Because she accidentally.
My understanding was that was it, but I may be wrong. Ms. Taylor.
No. When the court vacated the trial setting, the court vacated all of the deadlines, including the alibi deadline. That wasn't carved out as one that was still held through when the court vacated the rest of its scheduling order. So I don't think that we're foreclosed from that. The court also has the ability to give an extension besides the limited time by statute. In this case, it's more than Bryan was just driving around. We have let the state and the court know that we expect that will be supported by expert testimony and by cross-examination of the state's experts. I need their full cast report and the rest of the discovery related to that before I can say more about that. So to tie me to a deadline when I don't have the rest of the discovery that I've been waiting for that would relate to that will mean that I will be back asking the court to reopen it. My expert can't finish until I get the rest of the discovery as well.
And the discovery you're talking about is a video of the car.
No, I
What do you?
so the video that we talk about is one that I think the state's going to use in its case that I don't have full video on, that I'm not talking about any video of Bryan's car.
So she literally puts him in the car. She admits that it's Bryan's car in this hearing, you know, and he bolts out of there after. A lot of people were speculating, like, why did he leave so fast? Well, I think he ran
And the
out.
court know
He was
that
mad.
we expect that will be supported by expert testimony and by cross-examination of the state's experts. I need their full cast report and the rest of the discovery related to that before I can say more about that. So
what she's so busy working hard to get another alibi in. She's making her case of why BK should be allowed again. Now, normally the law in Idaho is that once the prosecution requests your alibi, you have 10 days to provide it. And the judge already granted her like months and months of delays. And now she wants another bite at the apple. And she's so intent on getting this that she accidentally slips up and admits that it's his car.
to tie me to a deadline when I don't have the rest of the discovery that I've been waiting for that would relate to that will mean that I will be back asking the court to reopen it. My expert can't finish until I get the rest of the discovery as well.
And the discovery you're talking about is a video of the car.
No, I
What do you?
so the video that we talk about is one that I think the state's going to use in its case that I don't have full video on, that I'm not talking about any video of Bryan's car.
Did you catch it? What you just heard was Judge John Judge saying, quote, and this discovery you're talking about is a video of the car? And then Ann Taylor says, no. The judge says, what do you mean? And Ann Taylor says, the video we talk about is one I think the state's going to use in its case that I don't have a video on, that I'm not talking about any video of Bryan's car. Ann Taylor confirmed to everyone that the white Hyundai Elantra is indeed BK's car. I think she messed up there really, really badly. I really do. If he may not have a lot of options because it is a a capital case, and I think there's only 17 attorneys in the whole state of Idaho that do these kind of cases. But if I were him or if I were his family, I would be really upset. That was just such a big mic drop moment. And she was so intent on just getting the argument in as to why she should be allowed to have another bite at the alibi that she completely drops that it is his car by accident in the hearing, which is, going out to everybody. So, I would expect we will see this. Michelle says, let me check in with chat. Michelle says, because this is social media, so it'd be nice if we were social. Michelle says, I was stunned that Ann Taylor and Alyssa declared that they, quote, firmly believed in BK's innocence. Well, I would expect her to say that. I mean, she's advocating, but she may have also really felt, after goofing up and admitting that it's his car, I feel like she had some digging to get out of that hole. And he may not have a lot of options with a public defender that's capital punishment certified. But I do feel like that was a big problem, in my opinion. And this is where I feel like the judge was maybe just kind of questioning her a little bit. Is she doing a good enough job defending him? She's the one that wanted the gag order put in place. And now she's circumventing the gag order by asking questions that the judge himself characterized as being prejudicial toward Bryan Kohberger. Now, was there some mastermind plan? We'll just prejudice the jury, a jury pool. I don't know. Or if she just, if Dr. Edelman was, feeling like he just about to cry because he was getting it from the prosecution who wasn't happy, the judge who wasn't happy, but also maybe Ann Taylor when she saw those questions. What do you guys think? Holly says, fact finding. Hey, Mary's, good to see you. Hey, Pam. Glenda says, how do you defend such guilt in a horrible way? How in the world do you defend? Well, everybody gets to have, and he is innocent until proven guilty, and everybody does get their day in court. Jeremy says BK's DNA should be nowhere in that house. He didn't live there, wasn't friends with anybody who lived there, not a coworker, not a family member. Yeah, and his DNA was found on the inside snap of the knife sheath. This is our head mod. This is 6 Cents Amelia. Thank you to all of our mods and channel members. Sirius Black says, I know that there was so much misinformation out there. I just look at the facts, and in my honest opinion, it points to no one else. I appreciate your viewpoint. Enjow says, it's possible he went to a party there, but we don't know that. Now, Ann Taylor has came out early, and she said that there was no connection between BK and the victims. However, we know from Christy and Steve Goncalves that he was following 2 of the victims on Instagram. We also know that there were 3 witnesses that came forward that said that they had seen him on the University of Idaho campus, which again, he would have no business to be on that campus because he was attending Washington State University, which was about 10 minutes away. Tennessee shines in me or anybody get by without giving an alibi. That blows my mind. Leslie says, why hasn't she given an alibi if BK has one? Well, that's where I feel like, hey, go through. I just, Ann Taylor, if you're listening, I feel like, I've given you a lot of options with technology. Go through the GPS for TikTok tracking and go through the GPS for the Strava app and see if you can place him somewhere else based on those apps. That's what I would, if I were a defense attorney, I would be working on those, trying to get into the technology to see if there's anything in that technology that places him somewhere else besides the 1122 King Road house during the time of the crimes. Siakal, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong there, says a counterclaim that the car in the surveillance doesn't match the year or model KB drives. Sheriff's said, absolutely not. The only DNA I'm worried about is the one on the knife sheath. Michelle says she appreciates your opinion. Tennessee Shine says she wants a new alibi. Now she is getting a redo, which is messed up. Michelle says the DNA is very, very concerning. I think that is a big problem for the defense team because juries love DNA. I do think it's a big problem to overcome, which is if I were Ann Taylor, I would be a lot more focused on getting through that 51 terabytes of information rather than trying to move the trial. I almost feel like she's conceding that he did it. So, let me just move the trial venue. I would be more interested in trying to get an alibi together for my client. If I were her, I'd be going through all these apps, and maybe she is, and we just don't know about it. Lisa says his alibi shouldn't rely on state's evidence. If he has an alibi, that should be it. Yeah, I think you're right. Tennessee says she know they have a video of him going into the house. I think she's worried about that too. And this is what the prosecution kind of fired back with, which is that the purpose of an alibi is not to craft your alibi according to what evidence we're going to give you. The purpose of the alibi is to provide an alibi. So we don't see the jury. So we don't go to all this expense of a trial, and only to find out that, he was at the local 7-Eleven during the hours of the crime scene, or he was on a trip to Europe. He was on a plane during that time. Sirius Black says, I was trying to say that I respect the fact that you're able to change your mind. I've always said that I feel like the way I feel now but if something new comes out, I can change my mind. Leslie says, I think too, she's trying to manufacture an alibi. Pam thinks Ann Taylor messed up. Hey, Sandra. Jeremy says, I know people like to ignore the DNA on the sheath because it's touch DNA, but he still needs an explanation on how it got there. Yeah, I think so. And I also think that with all the apps that I've dug into, Snapchat, Strava, TikTok, if I were her and I really wanted to provide an alibi, and I think the alibi witness, as I shared with you, is going to be BK. That's what I think. I think he's going to do like what Alex Murdaugh did, which is take the stand. But I think if I were a defense team, I'd be going through all of those apps to see if they can place him anywhere else. Good to see you, Lisa. Daffy Dill says, if I remember, he was going to school for criminal law and bragged he could get away. I don't know. I've never heard that. If you have a source for that, let me know. If you don't, that's okay too. I've never heard that. Sears Black says, I'm not concerned about the DNA. I think the circumstantial evidence is what's damning in this case. Bob says, move the trial to Utah. They're not going to move the trial out of the state of Idaho. It'll just be, it might be like what happened in the Chad Daybell Lori Vallow trial, where they just move it to a bigger city like Boise, Idaho. The prosecution doesn't want to move it because they feel like, well, one, they don't want to probably leave their loved ones to have to go to a different location. But two, I think that, they feel like they have a more conservative jury in Latah County, and that they would be more on board with a capital punishment, that maybe a bigger city that has more liberal thinking people who may just simply not believe in capital punishment at all. What do you guys think? Pam thinks BK is bacon. Kenneth Hulse is messed up on what I just got here. You'll have to back it up a little bit, Kenneth. She accidentally reveals that she puts BK in the car. She literally puts him in the car. Tennessee Shine says the video of him going into the house and Red Rum is coming, and Red Rum is coming. Oh, okay, I get what you're saying. And coming out covered in red stuff. I don't know if they have that. What I was thinking though, what the prosecution probably has is they probably have a video of him in the car, because they pulled so many CCTV camera footage. We know from news reports that they provided 5 different CCTV camera images right away, 5 different footage from 5 different cameras to WSU, to the police department and to campus police at the Washington State University. So, and the Pullman Police Department. So they probably have more than just that. So that's where I think she slipped up and said, not the video of Bryan's car. I'm trying to remain open-minded. My hopes are that during the trial, it would be obvious one way or the other. Bob Williams says, don't defame bacon like that. You guys are so funny. Ann Taylor is overconfident. Hey, Auntie Ray, good to see you. Bob Williams, everything is better with bacon. I love the humor in here. You guys are so great. Nomad Life said, if the prosecution won't give her that video that she needs to show or prove his alibi, can she request herself from another party? No, she has all the videos. They have, even according to Ann Taylor, she has 95%. So Ann Taylor is saying, and I just want to try to both sides it here a little bit. Ann Taylor is saying that she's missing 5% of the stuff, of the information. But she's also saying that she needs until the summer of 2025 to go through everything. Well, the prosecution has a couple of weeks head start on Ann Taylor, but not a massive head start on Ann Taylor. So the prosecution is what they're saying is that, they're still going through stuff also. And I thought Scott Reich, who's a criminal defense attorney, had a really good take on this. I'll just share. I shared this last week. I'll share it again, which is he felt like Ann Taylor's best bet with Bryan would have been not to waive your right to a speedy trial, to just move forward at that point, because the prosecution was not ready. They were not done going through everything. So he feels like she's given them an opening to, plenty of time to get ready, and it's making it harder to defend Bryan Kohberger. What do you guys think? Do you agree with Scott Reich on that? Do you think, what do you think? Because I think he's right. I think that waiving the speedy trial, that might have been his best move. Jeremy says the defense lawyer is not going to say, I think my client is guilty, and we'll try to get him off on the charges. Right, exactly. Hey, Brandon. Brandon says she was meant a car of Bryan's, not the car in the video was actually his. She never said it was his car. She literally said it was his car. I just played it. Back it up and look at it again, please. I agree. He's definitely not a professional in my eyes. I'm not sure who he is. BK is running Ann Taylor. That's what Tennessee Shine thinks. Auntie Ray says, I hope you're somewhere warmer. Okay. Let me try to bring me some comments about the case. Jill Lane said there isn't a video of him entering the house. It could be exculpatory evidence as opposed to something regarding Bethany. I know what you're talking about, Jill Lane. And Bethany she reportedly, this is according to the Mirror, which is a UK newspaper. Bethany saw somebody leaving the house that didn't have anything on. I'm watching my words. So what So, and there was a lot of brouhaha that maybe, because Dylan saw a man dressed all in black wearing a mask, must be two different people. And that's brought a lot of people to say there must have been two people in the house. However, I think it's very possible that the perpetrator would have had a monkey suit on. And this is how the knife sheath got lost. I believe it didn't fit around the monkey suit. So he was holding the knife sheath with the knife in it in one hand, and that he pulled it out. But on his way out, he would have simply stripped off everything at the door, dropped it into a trash bag, and gone out to the car. And this would account for what Dylan saw, which was a man wearing a mask with bushy eyebrows, dressed all in black, and what Bethany saw. So I think they could have seen the same person. And I just do think that the psychology of BK and the fact that he comes across very much as a loner. He comes across, from everything that we've read and looked into, as somebody who struggles with personal relationships with people, that he would not be the type of person that would get together with somebody else to do something like this. I think he would have acted alone. Let me know if you have a different feeling. Drop me a comment in the comment section below. Mayor C says, it won't matter where in the world they move it to. Everyone has heard of the crime he committed. So that's Bill Thompson, the prosecutor's take on it as well. He feels like it doesn't matter where you move the trial to. If you move it to Boise, it doesn't matter because everybody's heard about the case. And Jazz agrees with you. Kenneth says, if he did it, he should say that he had been there and hooked up with somebody. Then it makes sense that his DNA was there. Bob says, it's 84 here. Oh, okay. Y'all are giving weather reports in here. All right. Let me just scroll down so I can get some comments. Thank you so much, Jazz, for your hard work as well. I will put that toward the channel. I'm actually trying to save up for a little bit of a better computer so I can get more images. I also would like to be able to stream and do that. So thank you so much. I will put that toward the channel. Kimmy is here. Hey, Kimmy. Kimmy says, it was at 1 hour, 7 minute mark in that hearing. I just played it too. You can just back up this stream a little bit. Please. Thank you so much to Brother Mike for your $1.99. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Detra Ed is here. Florence, yes, I heard that too. Some girls said he made them uncomfortable. Yeah, that was, multiple people have said that. Anti-Ray says, if Chad Daybell can get a jury, Bryan Kohberger can get one in Idaho. Yeah, because the Chad Daybell trial is also in Idaho. Great point, Anti-Ree, sorry. Detra says it was stated by News Nation. Mary's says, 100% agree with this theory. In my opinion, he had a coverall on hazmat. Yeah, because he would have been aware of Locard's principle, which is that every contact leaves a trace. Ophi Cal said that it's official. Hey, how much does the membership? It starts at $2.99. Zero said at Boise, there will be people who didn't follow the case since he was arrested. Yeah, I think so. And I think there are probably people also in, Bill Thompson was saying there's people even locally that haven't been following it that closely. I don't know if that's true or not true, but that's his position. Jill Elaine says, I heard both Bethany and Dylan went to testify. Now Bethany has moved out of state and supposedly Dylan is still getting help for her PTSD. Yeah, I know that Bethany did meet with the defense team. I don't know about Dylan, but I did see some stuff on that. Thank you for that. Little Blue says, thanks for allowing us to have different opinions. Yeah. We can't have a conversation if we're not listening to each other. Michael says, I heard that recently too. I knew you meant opinions, Little Blue. Bob says, I'm chatting with roomies. That's why a lot of my comments don't follow. Yeah, I saw you guys discussing the weather. That's fine. I think it's nice. Everybody's so nice and gets along with each other. I think that's great. Anti-racist, they can solve cases with microfibers. Look through a jeweler's loop. After you wash your hands, you'll see little fibers not visible with your eyes alone. Wow. Micro Kimmy says, the thing about every single person knowing about this case isn't just the case. Not one person I know has heard of this case, and people I talk to online do not know the details, if anything. Yeah, I think that, um, that's Bill Thompson and, position also. He his feeling is that everybody that lives in the Latah County is probably following it as closely as they are nationally and internationally. So it's not going to make that much a difference on the jury. And Taylor clearly wants it moved to a bigger venue. I think she is looking for probably a little bit more of a liberal jury that maybe doesn't believe in capital punishment. She wants to protect her client. Allison said he is in the perfect jail right now. He's getting his vegan meals. He's stalling, provides her to come up with a better alibi. Keep out of the pen where he won't. Thanks for that, Allison. Okay. Thanks, Pam. I appreciate that. Detra says, I think there's another reason Ann Taylor wants it dragged out so people forget some of the things that they've heard. And Jazz says you can buy us. Oh, you guys are talking about super chats. Oh, let me just do a thank you while we're doing super chats. Let me do a super chat. Thank you. This is for the super thanks to everybody who did super thanks and PayPal gratitude. Thank you so much. And this is over the last few weeks, not just one day. And then gifted channel memberships. Thank you so much. So let me go back to comments for just a second. I do want to add this back in. They have BK's DNA on. I want to talk about turn back on once the crimes had been committed. Why did he turn his phone off? Well, in my opinion, it's because his phone was connecting to Kaylee's Bluetooth. We're going to talk about Papa Roger and other warrants that were served by law enforcement, but I want to share a little bit. I do want to go to the Papa Roger, so I'm just going to hop over this little part. About the Idaho student crimes and was using the alias Papa Roger. Okay, so let me see. I saw a question here. I just missed it. Oh. Somebody was asking me. I can't remember now what it was. Oh, this is a great question. If the trial is moved, does the judge change? No, John Judge will go with the trial. He'll stay the same. I don't think that's going to change. Okay. Auntie Reese says, I live within 100 miles of the Harmony Montgomery case, but knew nothing about it because I wanted to block out awful things done to until the trial neared, and then I watched. Yeah, I think that was, I think that's Bill Thompson's point also, that it's not going to be any more watched locally, and that he was worried that she was tainting the jury pool against BK, or just tainting the jury pool, period. I'm sure the prosecution doesn't want to move it because it means being away from their loved ones, further away from their office and home. Whereas Ann Taylor tends, because she is the only capital punishment certified attorney in that area, she probably moves around a little bit more. So let's talk about Papa Roger for a second. In fact, according to Dateline NBC, law enforcement officers are convinced, quote, convinced, BK is behind that account. This is probably because Papa Roger had almost psychic-like predictions about this case. So either Papa Roger had to be a member of law enforcement, and some people have theorized this, and they think that Papa Roger stands for police reconnaissance, the P and the R in Papa Roger. But I believe it's more likely that it was BK than it was law enforcement. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comment section below. I love reading your comments. I do love reading your comments. Always agree, because I think the best way to learn about new information is to share constructively with each other all of the information that we have. And this way, everyone can make up their own minds about it. And that's what Reporter Room is. It's a critical thinkers channel. So the Papa Roger account on Facebook mentioned the knife sheath being left at the crime scene a full month before it was mentioned to us, the public. We did not know about the knife sheath, yet Papa Roger was posting about it on Facebook. Here are the receipts. So of the evidence released, the M weapon has been, this is Papa Roger, consistent as a large fixed blade knife. So this was November 30th. This is before BK was arrested. And Papa Roger says, this leads me to believe they found the sheath. This evidence was released prior to the A word. So what, was this BK posting because the account, or was this law enforcement just throwing out some bait and hoping, because they posted on another account on Reddit, which is also very interesting with a different name, but also was this him in injecting himself into the case? What do you guys think? How did he know? What do you guys think? So it's safe to assume that this account had to be run by the person who did the crime, was very lucky at guesses, or by law enforcement trying to interact with the person who did the crime. But I do believe this goes back to BK because this is what law enforcement believes. And we all know it's not unusual for perpetrators to insert themselves into cases such as this. Now, this account on Facebook posted regularly and then stopped right after BK was arrested. So again, this was either BK posting or law enforcement trying to dangle a little bit of bait to engage with the perpetrator. What do you think? Do you think it was BK? Or do you think it was law enforcement? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. There's still a lot of evidence we don't know anything about. We know law enforcement collected hair samples, fabric with red stains, animal hair, a single black glove. Now, these were all found in BK's Washington apartment. So what do these match? We don't know. And the court documents show that 2 items found in BK's Pullman, Washington apartment tested positive for blood. And these 2 items were a mattress cover on the bed and an uncased pillow, both of which had visible, quote, reddish brown stains. The court documents do not tell us who this blood belongs to. And authorities also found possible animal hair strands and a computer. So at his parents' house in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, law enforcement also confiscated a Glock 22 .40 caliber handgun and empty magazines, a Smith & Wesson pocket knife, and a third Taylor cutlery knife in a leather sheath. Now, on the same day, law enforcement also searched BK's 2015 white Hyundai Elantra. What did they find? They found gloves, a shovel, goggles, floor mats, boots, and a reflective vest. So I'm wondering what the shovel would have been for. What do you think? Is that to shovel out snow in case your car gets stuck? Or was he burying evidence on that bizarre 9-hour detour that he took with his dad when they were traveling from Pullman, Washington to Albrightsville, Pennsylvania? So we still don't know what happened to BK's shower curtain. We don't know the victim's ID. Which victim was it that was found inside a glove, inside a box at his parents' Albrightsville, Pennsylvania home? So what do you guys think? Let's talk about Dylan for a little bit. Now, Dylan said that Dylan is going to be an eyewitness, in my opinion. She said she saw a man leaving the house in Moscow, Idaho in the early hours, but did not realize until hours later that her 4 roommates had been done away with. Now, the same people who are in the comment section telling me that BK is innocent until proven guilty, and he is, are the same people demanding that the roommates be arrested. I don't understand this mentality. The roommates haven't been charged with anything. And I said last week that I thought that it was the last live stream, that maybe they were going to be next. They were maybe going to be next. I mean, who knows? Cynthia says, oh, thank you so much, Cynthia. I really appreciate the super sticker. Thank you so much. Daffy says, now that I'm thinking about it, I believe it was some students he went to school that he made that statement about getting away with it. I wouldn't know. I don't know. I haven't seen anything about that, but you could be right. If you do happen to remember, great. If you don't, that's okay too. I just haven't seen anything from credible sourcing that backs it up yet. That doesn't mean it's not out there, because I don't see everything. That's why I love reading your comments. Cynthia King says, thank you so much, Cynthia, for the super chat. Jody, good to see you. Kimmy says, just like in the Murdaugh case, venue was changed. Judge Newman stayed put. Right. So the John Judge will stay in place, but the venue could change. Thank you to all our mods. Rollo says, I wonder what is everyone going to say when the video of the unalivings unblurs get dropped. I just remember Massoff saying, there's they have evidence unknown to anyone that proves his innocence. I don't think there's a video of this. I don't know, like, I don't know where that's coming from, but there's no video of anybody doing the crime that I've heard of. So I just want to push back on that a little bit. I'm not sure who your source is on that. If you want to tell me your source, I would be glad to follow up and look into it. But I haven't found anything from any credible sourcing that tells me that there's a video of anybody doing anything. Detra says, Nut says she's the only one that can do a DP case. She's not the only one, but there's only 17 attorneys, but she's the only one in that area. So is that like limiting him to a defense attorney that's now put him in the car? That's kind of gotten herself into trouble with the judge a little bit by, I think where the judge really got, in my opinion, got really, really mad was when she, accused him in the media of somehow circumventing her client's rights when, his pushback was, it's you put questions, you allowed questions going out from your third party person, because that's who this PhD doctor was. He was working for Ann Taylor. So she's responsible for people that she hires. You allowed him to go out and prejudice the potential jury pool. So I wish we could have had a close up on BK's face on that, because if I were him, I would just be very worried. I would be concerned after hearing my attorney mess up and put me in the car. Sirius Black says, I don't think he was saturated. If he wasn't, I don't know, but he definitely could have just stripped everything off, had some plastic on the car. And also, he had over a month and a half to clean it. Zero says, Ann wants to stretch everything out. Yeah, because the defense benefits from delay. They do benefit from the delaying. Scott Wright characterized it as the big bus theory. He felt like, that she's just, delay because witnesses move away, witnesses' memories fade. And, that part of it has worked out pretty well for the defense team. I feel like she has done a good job of delaying. We still don't have a trial date. We still don't have an alibi. So she has delayed, but she's also, I think, messed up a little bit too. Thanks, Detra. Looking at you, looking at me, looking at you. Yeah. Papa Roger was Brian's other Facebook account. I want your opinion. I'm not saying he is or he isn't. Detra says that knife. Yeah, 7 inches is big. Leslie does think he is BK. Hey, Jill, Elaine. Pam says, Detra and I have run into each other in many channels. Oh, that's awesome. So, Leslie, a lot of people are agreeing with you. Bob says Papa Rogers is BK. Yeah, let me know. Put a 1 in the chat if you think it is BK. Put a 2 in the chat if you think it's someone. If it's law enforcement, put a 3 in the chat if you're not sure. Okay. Can we take the politics out of here now? All civilly and respectfully opinions. Yeah, please leave the politics to the side. I just really don't want to go there. I want our channel to be comfortable for everybody. That's one of the reasons I didn't want to do work as a journalist in the regular media anymore. One of the reasons I wanted to start my own YouTube channel and do true crime was because I just didn't want to deal with the politics. It's so dividing. Kimmy says there's a fake Papa Rogers account. Yeah, that's the new one. That's right. I've seen that too. Going around saying he was just out of fishing. The real PR account was deleted. Correct. And it was deleted right around the time that BK was arrested. So I don't know if law enforcement had it out up there and they were posing as Papa Roger to try to engage to see if he would come into the chats. I don't know. Rolo says Papa Roger is Sergeant Blaker. The same odd things Papa Roger does in his writing, Sergeant Blaker did 17 times in the PCA. Cheryl says, hello, just got here. I have to rewatch the start. Michelle says, that's a bold declaration. How do you know there's a video of the, yeah, we don't know. There is no video of that happening. I don't know where that's been going around, but whoever's told you that is misleading you. There's no video of anybody doing it. Zero, he should know forensic pathologist reports the size of the knife. Yeah, right. That's true. Darlene thinks it does need to be moved for a fair trial. Thank you for sharing that. Amelia says, don't know what Bryan's alibi is, so how do we know if it's valid or not? Right. As Murdaugh said, I'm thinking law enforcement because while Bryan is Braz, I'm not sure what that is. But you think it's law enforcement, it sounds like. Okay, that's good. That helps. Pam says, well, he hasn't decided on the best alibi yet. Holly thinks he was using the shovel to bury the evidence. Zero says, I wonder what happened to BK that day to trigger him. I don't know. I don't know. Leslie thinks he was burying the evidence. LA says Xana looks so different in that picture that's just shown. She does. She's a beautiful girl. I try to find different ones to show you guys. Sir Joy, when is the alibi hearing taking place? I don't know. Hopefully the judge said we're having weekly hearings now. So hopefully we'll have one this week coming up, and I'll be airing this hearing. A Little Blue said, remember, though BK's daddy has spent the night, I guess BK's apartment before they searched it could be anything they found could be his daddy's, just my opinion. Auntie Ray said, if it was one of those tiny shovels, it was for road safety traveling with inclement weather, which both PA and Idaho have. Rollo says, I'll give anything better. Remember Ann Taylor stating the footage they gave her is incomplete. Sounds like not with visuals not matching. She requested the original complete footage. I think the prosecution's still going through that. I find the judge hard to read. That's from Sandra. Jill says, I don't think Dylan will testify that he is who she saw at the time. Time will tell. So you don't think she'll definitely say it is him or isn't him? That's interesting. I don't know what she's going to testify to. I do think she'll be an important witness as far as timeline goes and all that. She did see the perpetrator. So I don't know. Ann Taylor wants a copy. The OJ trial, however, it's not OJ. Okay, let's finish watching. So it's nonsensical to leave this comment. They should be arrested for what? For surviving? For not calling law enforcement for 8 hours when it was Ethan's friend who came over looking for Ethan that discovered the crime scene. If the roommates fell asleep around 4 a.m. and then slept for 8 hours, that would be a normal amount of time to sleep. It's not like they were in the house for a couple of days. And just to remind you, in the Jody Arias Travis Alexander case, Travis Alexander's roommates were in the house for days, plural days, before Travis's friends stopped by and found him. So days for Jody, and we know that Alexander's roommates didn't have anything to do with that. So that's where I do feel like it's, let's be fair to the roommates here. For all we know, they could have been next. But somebody called out, there's someone here. So BK may have been concerned that someone was calling 911. If he is the perpetrator, he's innocent until proven guilty. Loaded Hot says, I wonder if they found any of BK's dad's DNA in the car. If not, it was for sure cleaned. He was there for several days going across country. All right. Well, I think I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to do a channel members only live stream next. So, but I do want to just say, thank you to our VIP, Red Carpet, Jane J. Thank you to our producers, George Brown and Jazz, and for Amber. And thank you to all of our awesome channel members. If you want your name to appear like this, just hit the join button, which is next to the subscribe button. If you don't want to do that, just subscribe, because that helps me out a lot too with the YouTube algorithm. It's free. Subscribing is free. So I'm really grateful for any way that you want to support Reporter Room. Really glad you're here and appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you to all our channel members. And I'm going to be airing the next Bryan Kohberger hearing, so be on the lookout for that. And I have a new Bryan Kohberger video coming out tomorrow on this. Thank you for your super thanks. Obviously, this was created before I went live today. So this is from all the super thanks up until yesterday at midnight. So thank you for that. And thank you for your gifted channel memberships. So I'm going to leave it there. Please subscribe and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for joining.